annual Central New York Pride flag raising. So with this, I'd like to hand this over and introduce Chris Shepard, our Central New York Pride Parade and co-chair, for his opening remarks. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. We're delighted to have you here today. I'd like to introduce a couple of dignitaries who have joined us. Councilor Gene Kessner from the Syracuse City Council. Extremely noteworthy in that after all these years, the council unanimously co-sponsored this resolution and passed it together. Also with us today is the Reverend Peter Williams from the Episcopal Church in Cortland, who is one of our most stalwart volunteers for our interfaith service, which will be held tomorrow evening at Temple Concord. And we would invite you to join us there as we pause to give thanks and to worship. And although we are mortals, and many of us have different views, we can always pause to find inner strength, and we hope you will join us at Temple Concord tomorrow evening. I'd also like to read... We also have greetings from a dear friend of many citizens, and for many of us, our new state senator. Dear friends, I regret that I could not join you today as I am in legislative session in Albany. Congratulations on another great week of events sponsored by Central New York Pride. As you know, I have always supported equal rights for all, and I was pleased to be able to show my support in our successful campaign for marriage equality. New York State has always been in the forefront of history throughout the women's rights and abolition movements, so it seems fitting that we should again take national leadership in the fight for marriage equality. I believe that all people, regardless of race, gender, religion, or sexual orientation, deserve to be treated equally, and events such as this serve as a reminder that we must remain vigilant to ensure those rights. Pride Week highlights the philosophy on which our nation was founded. By celebrating our differences, we find common good. Have a wonderful celebration. David J. Valesky, New York State Senator. I would like to introduce a dear friend and a respected educator in our community, Dr. Bruce Carter from Syracuse University, who has the unenviable position of chairing the Pride Board. So he gets to listen to all the terrible phone calls all night long. Bruce, I know you'd like to say a few words.
Have to adjust this up or it'll be speaking to my belly, which is large enough already. I want to join with Chris in thanking our legislators who've been in support of Pride, including all of the City Council, again, to recognize that this is, as far as I know, the first time ever it has been entirely unanimous. I think there's always been some dissension, but we're grateful, even if it's not the first time, for this particular proclamation. I want to extend our invitation to those of you who don't know for our parade and festival this weekend. We'll be marching off West Genesee Street and down to the Inner Harbor, and you're all welcome to come. Look on our site, cnypride.org, for information, and we, of course, welcome you to work with us in celebrating Pride and the events that we have this year. I also want to ask you to recognize with your support those courageous individuals, politicians, and others who stand up for equal rights for every person, who stand up for equality for individuals, who stand up for the right of all of us to be ourselves as opposed to being something else that we're not. And this is an important element of what Pride is all about. Pride for ourselves, but it's also pride for those who come beyond. And I want to say, and I have to because I am a psychologist, I have to respond to one of the signs, which I wasn't going to recognize, but it's important to know that, especially for any of you here, but also for the young people, because I know that gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender teens grow up in pain, often they commit suicide, etc. As a developmental psychologist, I have to say that both the American Psychological and the American Psychiatric Associations have declared that the statement on this sign is simply not true. There are no data supporting the change of individual sexual orientation. And in fact, there are no data supporting this issue. So you can say anything you want, but in fact, it's all a lie. So let's continue on. I have the distinct honor to introduce to you again our mayor who spoke earlier. Stephanie Miner has been one of our supporters from early times. She served on the City Council for 8 years and was a sponsor of legislation including the Pride recognition for years. She is our first woman mayor, and she was our Grand Marshal of the Pride Parade 2 years ago. And I give to you our mayor, Stephanie Miner.
We're going to bring the mic down. I just want to add a couple of remarks. It has really been my pleasure for the last, I guess it's now been 11 years to be at this flag raising. The first 8 as a city councilor and the last 3 as the mayor of this city. And I did that through my physical presence because I wanted to show how important the issue of acceptance and justice and fighting for causes that you believe in is. And it is also remarkable to see in the last 11 years how much progress we have made as a community in recognizing justice and fighting for equal rights. There were times, I'm sure, where many of you here didn't think that you'd be able to raise a rainbow flag over City Hall. And yet in less than 15 years, that has changed. There have been times when there were many of you here who didn't think that you would be able to see the government of New York State recognize that you could choose to marry and commit your life to whoever you chose to do that. And yet last year, we led the nation in being able to celebrate once again the accomplishments of moving our country forward in recognizing progress and recognizing justice. I say that to you today so that you can remember that progress is not made just because it happens. Progress is made because people join together and fight injustice. They join together and they come to flag raisings. They join together and they come to parades. They join together and say, injustice will no longer be tolerable in my neighborhood, in my city, in my community, and in my state. And that only happens when we join together. So while the road to justice is long, we have passed significant obstacles to it together. Let's remember that as we raise this flag and remember all of the other obstacles that we have to get there so all of us can truly recognize who we want to be in the United States, in the city of Syracuse, and wherever we want to be. So congratulations, and I'm really thrilled that I could be here with you. It is now my pleasure to introduce somebody who has also been with me the past 11 years and probably dating further back than that, but we won't talk about how old he is because he would be upset with that. Ladies and gentlemen, the city clerk, John Campanis.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Syracuse Common Council, I'd like to read in part their resolution. This is a resolution in recognition of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Pride Week to be celebrated from June 11th, 2012 through June 16th, 2012 in the city of Syracuse. Whereas the New York State Assembly adopted the Marriage Equality Act on June 15, 2011, and the New York State Senate followed on June 24, 2011, the Honorable Governor Andrew M. Cuomo signed the bill into law that same day, making June 24, 2011 a historic date in the Empire State. And whereas on Sunday, July 24, 2011, City Hall opened its doors to issue the first same-sex marriage license on the first day allowed by the Marriage Equality Act, the city clerk arranged to have the Administrative Supreme Court Justice Tormey waive the 24-hour waiting period, thereby allowing some couples to marry that day inside our historic City Hall. And whereas on Monday, June 11th, the 11th annual flag-raising ceremony will be held on the steps of City Hall at noon, on Saturday, June 16th, 2012, the 24th annual parade will begin in its new location near the Q Center on West Genesee Street at 11 a.m. with festivities concluding with the 14th annual festival starting at noon at its new location in the city's beautiful Inner Harbor Amphitheater. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Syracuse Common Council proclaims June 11th, 2012 through June 16th, 2012 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgendered Pride Week in the city of Syracuse, and encourages every citizen to become more aware of the values, contributions, and human rights of every citizen and the pride inherent in the lives of all people.
Councilor Kestner will now present an embossed copy of the resolution to our chair, Dr. Carter. While we're here to celebrate today, last night many of us joined in a moment of prayer and reflection and mourning over the death of a young boy, 14 years old, who took his own life in Williamsville because of the anti-gay harassment that he received in his short and terribly short life. Our central thrust in passing by the services that are offered to lesbian and gay and bisexual and transgendered youth bring us to the choice that we made this year for our Grand Marshal. Nothing is more precious than making sure that every child grow into a healthy, well-rounded adulthood where they can be a contributing member of our society and know that they are respected as an individual in a free society. And as a result, we were able to choose to know where we needed to look in a heartbeat for this year's Grand Marshal. And I am delighted to introduce to you at this time Cindy Squillaci, who runs the Lesbian, Gay, Straight Alliance at Corcoran High School.
Hello. I'd like to thank the Pride Committee for highlighting both the challenges and the incredible creativity and resilience of our LGBTQ and now I students, not just here in Syracuse, but in all of Central New York. GSAs, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Gay Straight Alliances are places in school, they're sometimes clubs, sometimes called groups, where students can come to feel safe, respected, learn a lot, and also to have fun. We know all the challenges that face LGBTQ students, but sometimes we don't think of their resilience. And I want to use this parade to celebrate the resilience, creativity, and absolute joy that these students bring, not just to me, but to all of the community. So please join with us at the parade. The Q Center and many other youth will be right up front in the parade, and they'll be their joyful, wonderful selves. So please join us to watch them, to celebrate them, and in your own lives, find the young ones who need somebody to talk to. I also wanted to let you know that the Human Rights Campaign has just completed the largest known survey of LGBT students with more than 10,000 respondents. This research is now coming out, and I encourage all of you to look this up. I have the whole report here, but I want you to look it up yourselves and see what that says and see how you can help these students and the rest of our community, because if they do well, our whole community will do well. Thank you.
Isn't that like a good educator? There's a reading assignment after we leave here today. And now, who's going to let her rip? Our thanks to Mayor Minor and to two latecomers. I apologize, I didn't introduce you earlier. Councilors Deno and President Van Robinson. all of you. We hope you'll join us for the interfaith service tomorrow and this weekend as we celebrate Pride 2012. Thank you all very much.